already started the recording, but if Gabby can back me up just in case and also get some practice on it, that would be great.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take a look down the orders of business here. So I'm going to start on old business. So on old business, we have a discussion here, subcommittee Ara and Jing, about university relations. Let's take a look at what we discussed. So the nature of this, Ara, do you want to update us on this?
Okay, so based on my discussion with Pak Nuki, I think we're going to start this luncheon program after Lebaran.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, we have a time on the project. Let's talk about the scope of the project then. So what we're trying to do right now is to increase our university relations development. And the objective is to raise brand awareness within the Indonesian student community through fun activities that showcase our position to lead hospitality. I think the Utara experiment was actually really, really good. I think that was a really good first episode on the idea of creating a program or a contest that was very, very engaging with the student community, and I think it exhibited a lot of the core attributes of our company: the playfulness, the charm, and the sense of merit too. So what I'm thinking is this in particular. I'm thinking like, what about we create a theme for each month? And I think the theme of June could be, why does Indonesia have a great hospitality culture? And we distribute this question out to our community. So we ask people, please send us your response and your way to express why Indonesia has great hospitality culture. And we can outline the submission guidelines. We could say you could submit an Instagram story, you could submit a video, you could submit an essay, whatever it might be. So we're essentially asking our community to give us some ideas of what they believe great hospitality means in Indonesia. Then we can collect all the results. We can then create a scoring system, or we can publish how we're going to. We can then create a news feed out of that. We can say we took in all these submissions. Thank you very much for submitting. We think these are the top 3. Come back next week and we'll announce who the winner is. So we make essentially a program and a contest out of that. So there's a few things we need to do logistically. One, well, actually, before I go on any further, do you think that this program is, I'll just start the discussion. How worthwhile is this program to have, and what are our chances of success? So I open the floor to discussion on this topic. Okay, is there any discussion from, let's see, Ara?
So far, I've already put my ideas about the topic for July and August. I don't know if there's any other option for the topic.
Okay.
From you, maybe, or from Gabby.
Great. Let's also discuss another theme. When should we actually roll out this program? June or July?
I think July, because June people will be busy with their families and then Lebaran.
Okay, right. It's a holiday season. All right, understood. Okay, so if we're going to launch in July, should we start thinking about the mechanics of how to do this project in June?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. Let's get agreement on that. All right, Gabby, what's your thoughts on this project?
Yeah, I agree with Ara, sir. During July, people already finished with all their vacation and holiday.
Okay.
And it might be the best to get a lot of traffic during that month.
Okay.
And we'll see how it goes.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and do this, Mrs. Secretary. Let's go ahead and rotate the June theme to September so that we have essentially, so just move, I guess, May and June down to September and October. So we keep the ideas, but we just roll them out at a future date. I need also to actually discuss perhaps in a subcommittee. I'd like to maybe just do this with Ara. What is the primary way we're going to distribute the contest and announce the contest and communicate with our audience? So ideally it should be on Instagram, because the Instagram community already is quite Indonesian and within the 25 to 34 age range. So it seems like there's a good fit there. But I'm also open to other ideas too. Before we go into a sub-discussion, I'd like to just get Gabby's thoughts. Gabby, what do you think is the best way to run this contest?
Honestly, I haven't know really well about the previous one, sir.
Okay,
So
got it. All right, let's go over to...
only for UGM or for
Broader, ideally broader than UGM. So UGM is great because that was our MVP, that was our minimal viable product, and it worked really well. We got, essentially the room was very bored, and I don't think they were very active at the time I delivered the presentation. But once we mentioned that we had this prize, everybody was galvanized. It was like Elvis came in the room. And then we saw that we were able to keep the interest and engagement of all the students for up to about a week as we announced the winners and did all this other stuff. So it was fairly interesting. There was 3 major engagements: the time of announcement, the time of award, and then the time where the award was experienced too. So we got 3 episodes that were fairly relevant to the student community. So now that we know that, what I'm suggesting is maybe we expand the scope a little bit larger to not just UGM, but maybe more schools too. Or we can discuss about just keeping it to UGM, because maybe it's better if we start small, like the way Facebook started. Instead of going big all the way, all of a sudden, we start with a small group of people who really love this idea and then let it go naturally. So let me start a discussion on that topic. What should be the scope of this content? Should it be within UGM, or should it be UGM and Jogja, or should it be nationwide?
Well,
Tara, okay.
it is good if we can reach as much as audience, but I don't know how to actually, what is it, menggabungkan merch all the students in all
Gather
the
everyone together.
in Indonesia
Okay.
to get this. Just like if, for example, if we do, actually, if we started to publish it via Instagram, then I'm afraid it's not going to be just students. I think it's open for everyone, right? It's
Right.
going to be open for public, not just students. So
Okay.
maybe the winner can be also worker, can be any other.
Audience
Yeah.
dilution. Okay, I hear you are on that one. Gabby, chair recognizes Gabby.
How about we start within each our other alumni, sir? I
That's-
can start hers from UGM.
Mm-hmm.
I can start it from my own previous school too.
Yep.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay, I think that's a good compromise, Ara and Gabby. And the reason why is because we don't want audience dilution. If the audience doesn't know each other, then it's meaningless. If the person who wins is your classmate, then that's cool. I'll watch the next episode. But if the person who wins is somebody I don't know from a different school, in a different major, in a different country, then who really cares? So I think this is actually a good thing. So we have some ideas about the audience. So for this project, if I can put up, maybe the secretary can put this here. I think we've defined our audience, that we can essentially put as a note over here. Where's a good place to put that note? Maybe to-do list. Okay, so I'll just quickly kind of put it here. The audience should be the STPBE school and also UGM. And that's it for the first iteration, or for the next iteration. And as this thing grows and gets bigger, then we can add in more people. But I think the fastest way to lose an audience is to invite everyone, and then nobody knows who should be there and how to come. But the biggest way to actually grow is to start with an audience of people who really love this thing and are really into it. Okay, that's my motion. Do I have a second on that?
Second that.
Okay, all right, so we pass. All right, so we have an idea, we have clarity now on the audience and on the scope and when we're going to start. Okay, great. Mrs. Secretary, can we move the themes for May and June to now September and October? So we keep those themes, but we just come back to them at a different day. Okay, and while the Secretary is working on that, let's talk about the next issue of Old Business. So the next issue of Old Business is the proxy list for the first evaluator. I think we already have that. So if I may, when the Secretary is finished moving the university relationships, let's please go back to the Old Business and remove proxy list for first evaluator. For the university relationship here on the Guild Journal, I'd like to have it remain because that has not actually been done. I think at the next meeting we can actually create a Trello board and project this because I do believe this is a project. Okay, let's continue forward down. Who will be the first or second evaluator for the screening? I believe that's already been answered and we're already implementing that. So Gabby, me, and Ara are we're all the first and second evaluators for the screening. Great. Okay, so let's see. Mrs. Secretary, let's remove this proxy list and let's keep the one above it, and let's remove the, oh shit, lag. Let's remove this, who will be the first and second evaluator for the screening. Okay, next item of business. So, Ara, Val's training and guest relation officer. Ara, maybe you can talk a little bit more about this?
Okay, so just a heads up, sir. Do you remember that when I, what is it, accept file to be accepted, I mentioned that this person needs, oh, Gabby, sorry.
Gabby, could you mute your mic? Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with Pak Nuki that this person will show some good performance if he actually got a good supervisor, good have a good training. But for not, I'm so sorry that for now, everybody is too busy with their own business, and I think the one that in charge to actually help Paul with the training is Dominic, but sadly Dominic is in Bali, so there are some frictions that I've been paying attention with Panuki with Paul. So, and I think it's happening because there's no one that actually supervise and teach him on actually how to do. Yes, sir, please.
Okay. Please continue. Please continue first.
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I just think that process need more training on host especially.
Okay. There's essentially, thank you for bringing up this issue. Ara, is there any discussion? The chair recognizes Gabby. Go ahead, Gabby.
The same thing also happened to Dominic last time when I got the night shift.
Okay.
She also telling me about the same thing when she's in Bali. She doesn't get enough supervision from a senior host that is supposed to be Om Rafiq in Squad 1 now.
No, Om Rafik is not really in Squad 1. He's sort of a temporary visitor. I'm the squad lead on Squad 1 until there's a stronger leader in place. Okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about this issue, because I'll put in my points too. I think that we need to hire people who are actively looking for, how would I say, they need to be more, they need to try something on their own first and come back when it doesn't work to ask for, what do I do next? So let's say, for example, the way that we're training Ivan right now. So Ivan, I just say, go out, observe, do an action first. Do something. Don't just stand there and be confused and I need training. Do something. Do what you think should be done and then record the result. Did it go the way you expected? Did it not record the way you expected? And then escalate, discuss, or delegate to somebody else. I think this is the only way that we can scale training at a large scale. And also, let's not forget that there's quite a lot of hosting material right now. There's video training indexes, there's all this stuff. If we continue to babysit new candidates and have to essentially pull them through and pair with them, we'll never grow as a company. We're planning to hire hundreds of new people. And so the only way that I think we can move forward in terms of training and expectations as trainers is we give you a goal. We say, Val, this week what we want you to do is we want you to check in every guest without complaint. We want you to observe where the failure points are at each property and want you to do something about it first. If you don't know what to do, please escalate it up and record what your confusion was. If you don't know what to do, maybe also you can check out the observations and improvement paper first and read about what other people have done. Okay, all right, the chair recognizes Ara.
Okay, sir. So it's not the thing about he asked about how to do it. Well, he did, and he's been doing really well.
Okay.
But there are some cases that he's doing stuff that not supposed to be done in the working time. Like for example, we don't know where or how he can go hosting for hours while actually the guest is already checking.
Okay, that's not training then. That's dishonesty. Okay, let's not be confused about that. So that actually indicates, and I've noticed also in Val's behavior, he's not very transparent, and I have some doubts also about his integrity as well. Is this an integrity issue or is this a training issue?
I think it's about he doesn't know what is wrong or what is right.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fundamentally something different. All right, not knowing what wrong and right is an integrity issue. Yeah.
So yeah.
Is he like Nurul or like Nanda?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I think it's still too soon to actually label him, but
Okay.
the
Do you
thing is,
think?
I think it's more on about he doesn't actually know what is allowed and what is not allowed, what is proper and not proper.
Okay.
So yeah,
Does he
that's the
does
thing.
he have good intuition about that?
What? Sir?
Does he have good intuition, or does he like default to something? We need people who, let's say, default to the correct playing field when they don't know what to do. So let's say default to the correct playing field is, if we don't tell them anything, what would they do? If we just say, Val, show up to work by yourself, would you spend the whole day watching YouTube videos and not go out to host? Or would you feel conflicted and do something, but maybe not know what to do? Or what would his default behavior be? We're essentially looking for people who essentially would default towards the right behavior. If your default behavior is not do anything or don't show up to work or whatever, then I think that's an integrity issue. That's not so much a training issue or whatnot. It's in your nature to, let's say, be confused. It's in your nature to pretend to act confused whilst dragging resources. We're having a similar issue right now with Bona too as well. So Bona's case is, Bona will go ahead and he'll say things like, this needs to be changed and I'm gonna go do this, but then he doesn't follow up, right? So we go to the meeting and we say, all right, Bona, you have full access on Instagram now. You can post as often as you want. And surprisingly enough, nothing shows up. So this is, I don't think, a matter of training. This is a matter of personal integrity. And it's a matter of us in HR being very, very distinct and clear about what is bullshit and what is not bullshit, right? So I think the case is, let's say a person needs training, they have their very best intentions and they want to get things done, and then somehow they don't get the resources or the knowledge, or they're not getting shared. But then the other case is a person who just moans and complains and says, I don't get training, but they don't do anything anyway, right? They don't take any decisive action moving that forward. So they're just really waiting for somebody else to do the work rather than doing any of the work themselves. So that is not okay. And I've noticed that happens a few times already from the hires that we're getting. And we just have to be very, very clear. This is not the path to promotion. This is not the path that you're going to need to take. And what are you committed to get done? And what do you need from me? Right? So all of those behaviors are actually quite clearly stated in the observations and improvement section. So if they just follow that, if Val just goes out, he observes, he takes action, and then he asks for delegation improvement, I think naturally then it should work out. If we see that he's not making any observations, then let's say us as supervisors, Patnuki as a supervisor, Dominic as helping him, you being there, can say, Val, I notice you're not having any observations. Is that because everything's okay? Or is it because you're not being observant? And then we can start with that I think as a beginning. Training is not what I used to think it is. Training doesn't mean feeding the child with the spoon and chasing them all around the place. Training, I think, when the child is hungry, they come to you and you say, how can I help you? And they say, I'm hungry. And then you feed them, right? And then they go out, they play some more. And when they come back, they say, I'm hungry again. So you only feed them, I think, what they need and not just force feed them. Okay, eat all your vitamins, eat all your stuff. They don't appreciate it anyways, and plus it's too much time. All the really good candidates right now, Gani, Rizal, Diba, all the people who are passing all their promotions, they do the work first, and then they ask, when they don't understand, what should I do in this case, right? And that is essentially a healthy cycle. Okay?
Okay.
I want to be very, very explicit about this because this is also related to the kind of people we want to hire. If a person does not work that way, if they need to be spoon-fed and they need their hand held and they want to go back to kindergarten again where we give them a program, we tell them 9 o'clock you do this, 10 o'clock you do that, then I'm afraid that, then go find a job in a factory where essentially it works like that. But you're an adult, we train you like an adult, you have flexible working hours, figure it out, right? Figure it out. And that's the only way forward. Okay, all right, do we have clarity on that issue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, on his training, I'd like to actually take a more active role. I think he should go to reservations with Chris, because Chris is right there, so he can get training from Chris on reservations. And Chris is probably sitting right next to him, so I don't know why the two of them don't talk, or we don't have any expectations for how Val should be doing reservations. I see Dominic does most of the reservations. So I think we need to start making clear that Val, you have some reservation duties, and whatever you're doing out there for 4 or 5 hours and not getting any reservations done, well, that's not okay. Yeah. And either I will have to tell him that, or Patnuki has to tell him that. But ideally, Patnuki should tell him that first. He's a squad lead, and not me, right? I'm doing HR, so I'm serving Patnuki by getting him people that he needs to stay in market. And then, okay, so I just want to set that expectation. And as far as a plan goes for training, I'm open to hear in a sub discussion with you are about what Val is lacking in and what we can do to get that fixed. Okay, is there any more discussion on this topic in terms of what expectations should be for training on new candidates?
Maybe you want to talk about Dominic more?
Oh no, I think Dominic's case is pretty much the same like Val. She just need like someone who supervise her, but she already did what she did.
Okay, Dominic's case I think is actually quite okay. She's I think she just needs to give a little bit more feedback to us about what's not going right and what her concerns are. Currently, my conversations with Dominic mostly are around where she's going to work in the future, right? Not necessarily about like her issues in the field. She seems very independent and solution driven. There's very few cases where Dominic approaches me and she says, I can't handle this. Jing, what do you think? She's always able to work in the context of her squad to solve problems. So that's my interpretation of how Dominic's work behavior is. But if you do have another conversation with Dominic, then please just let her know, hey, Jing's available if you need to escalate. That's why we have escalations available. Okay, let's keep on moving. Find your family. So this was an article that I read, and I thought this was actually quite great. In terms of the mindset of the kind of person we want to hire, is our ideal candidate is someone who's seeking a kind of career existential change. They're looking to get out of the corporate world or switch industries or take on new duties and feel less like a cog in a machine. So when you hear like people express about like, you know, they want to change their existence, if they feel like working at Bukit Vista is romantic, right? That it triggers a sort of existential change, like, oh, I was going this way before and I didn't like the way I would have been, but now with Bukit Vista I can be a better person, a person that I admire more. Think of it as like a weight loss program, right? This is me before Bukit Vista, this is me after Bukit Vista, and look at the difference, right? Before I was just a drone inside of the boring corporate gray world, and whatever I said never really mattered, and at Bukit Vista I shook shit up and disrupted the hospitality industry, starting with Canggu. So we're looking for people who feel that, and I think that was just a thought process I wanted to share. It's just strictly FYI. Is there any discussion about this?
We actually talked about
Sure.
it before.
Sure, Rexy, this is Gabby. Okay, go ahead, Gabby.
So I talk about it with Ara. And how do you see if the people is fit and find their place in our company? If the people already to fit or comfortable working their previous job for like 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
So yeah, basically we have candidates that have been in a finance for 7 years, and then she said that she's trying to change her profession. Well, for me personally, I think it is good for somebody that wants to transfer their profession, but I think for a very long period of time, it will affect their personality, affect their habit. So I think 7 years is too long for somebody who wants to change 180 degrees
Okay.
profession. So yeah, that's
Understood.
what I think. What do you think, sir?
To continue that discussion, I generally ask people who say, like, let's say they're switching over from a different industry. Let's say they're switching over from manufacturing or medicine or administration to hospitality. I ask them, what have you done to show commitment to the hospitality industry? Have you waited a table yet? Have you volunteered at maybe a carnival? How do you actually know that you're going to enjoy serving people? And usually the ones that are casual industry changers have nothing to say, right? They go, I'm starting today by applying for this job. Well, that's not good enough, because for me that carries too much risk. That carries the risk of you don't like doing this at all, and you hate people, and you don't want to be anybody's bitch, right? And so then I usually say no. But if a person says, this would be like the best answer. I spent 7 years as like in manufacturing, but I decided one summer I was going to do something different. So I volunteered and I became like, whatever. I became a waiter for a summer. And it was a huge pay cut, but I just wanted to get myself in front of people. And I loved it. I loved talking to people. I had great conversations, and it was mind changing. And I don't want to be a waiter forever, so that's why I started looking for a job here. That would, I think, be an example of somebody. Yes, they already know what the industry is. Yes, they've already made some commitments to actually get some work experience. And no, we are not the first door you're knocking on. So they've shown some sort of alignment. I believe anybody can have a renaissance at any point in their life. I'm 37 now, and I've changed careers, industries like 3 times. I didn't think I would be in hospitality, but before I got in this industry, I think I definitely needed to show that I was committed to the industry, and so hence I worked in first villas and then hotels and whatnot. And I think that's a necessary process to be admitted into an industry. You have to show that you really want to be in that industry. Otherwise, it's just casual talk. It's like, I want to be an actor. I want to be in the film industry. Well, have you ever acted before? No, but today's my first day. So, but how do you know you're going to be a good actor? How do I know you're going to show up on set midway through the movie? How do I know what like there's no traction there. So that's usually what I do to qualify that. Okay, is there any more discussion? Okay. All right, so that's just another FYI. There's nothing really associated with that. Mr. Secretary, let's go ahead and move that from new business to old business. And also in Val's training, I think we can also move that from new business to old business as well. Next item of discussion is our review discussion for UGM hiring. I need to follow up on some candidates. Internship for Eva, she's ready by the 5th of June, and Dewi Saraswati is a host. Okay, Ara, go ahead and take it away. Tell us what's new about this.
Okay, so Eva Amela, I already invited her for the study internship at
Okay.
5th of June.
Okay,
She is proposing for internship for 6 months,
Okay.
actually.
great.
Yeah, so yeah, it's all sorted, I guess. And
Okay.
then I'd like to know about Dewi Saraswati. I evaluate her for this. I'm the second evaluator for the second interview,
Okay,
and then talk to her. She's actually pretty okay. I mean, personality, culture fit, and industry fit is okay, but then the cons itself is pretty heavy since she's applying for host, and I asked her whether she can ride a scooter. She said no. I don't have license. I can ride motorcycle. And then the other thing that being our concern is that she keeps on mentioning about her parents that is old already, and then she's gonna be so far away from them.
okay.
So yeah, I don't know. Should we offer her or?
Is she applying for Jogja or Bali?
She's applying for both.
I would say no. Candidates that are too fragile, either because of existing relationships or because of their inability to move. I mean, what is a host good for if they can't move, right? Unless we ask all the guests to come to base and meet us here, or just go down the street to Kanha, that doesn't. And plus, yeah, I think those two things put together is just two uncertainties, and for me, that's a big risk. I would thank the candidate for helping out, but probably not. I'm thinking during peak season where we need somebody here to cover like an existing duty. Does she have any positive points? So those are 2 negative points. What are her positive points for Dewi Saraswati?
What do you mean the positive point of her?
Yeah, does she have any positive points?
Well, yeah, she's cheerful. She's excited about working here.
Okay.
But yeah, but I think I don't know, sir. Every time I interview a host, I think it's become one of the most essential things for them to actually minimum can ride a motorbike and have license. Because it's becoming really.
Chandra Dewi is a good host. She didn't have either when she started here, right? So it's not necessarily always the case, but I think, all right, here I have a test for you, right? If I may, try to persuade her that this is not going to work for her, right? So get back to her and say, hey, look, I'm really sorry, but I don't think this job is really that good for you because you're gonna this job will take a lot of time away from your family, and your parents might be concerned about your safety. And you know what, the motorbike situation is also very difficult. You're gonna have to take time to get your license, and the company won't help you for that. And you're gonna have time to learn how to drive. And sometimes people ride as far as an hour to get to meet a guest. So maybe this isn't really for you. And then just shut up and see what she says, right? If she says, no, I'm totally going to do it, this is what I want to do, then you have a winner, right? Or if you have somebody who's not sure, and then, I don't know, whatever, you say, all right, well, just let me know by tomorrow whether or not this is really for you. If I don't hear from you, then we will just move on, right? And if you do hear from them, then that means that they really want to do it. So in a case where, let's say, you feel like somebody has an overwhelming weakness, don't nurture the weakness at all. Just say, hey, look, your weakness is your own issue. You're going to have to deal with it individually here. And we're not going to help you with that. Essentially, we're not, because we don't want somebody coming in, bring their problems here, and then it's become our problems afterwards. So we're essentially asking them, you're going to essentially be responsible for your own issues. And if you can overcome those issues, then perhaps this will be a good place for you to work. But if not, then I'm sorry, that's just not going to work out for anybody. Do you think that's, is there any discussion?
No, I agree with that.
Okay, all right. Gabby, what's your thoughts? Okay, I just got this tip from another one of my friends who hires for startups. He says the interview always begins with him trying to tell the candidate not to join the company and all the difficulties. He'll just talk about, you won't have any work-life balance here. You're going to be working 100 hours a week. Do you really want to do this? And then they'll ask, what am I getting for 100 hours a week? And then he'll talk about, you're not getting too much, right? The pay sucks, and there's a lot of hours, but you probably will learn something. You might become an entrepreneur and start a $1 million company in, 10 years, right? So he sets the expectations super low, and then the really smart candidates who understand what's going on, they go, yes, I'll take that, right? But the ones that don't really have the motivation, he says that they usually just drop out, and he doesn't waste any more time. So it's sort of a reverse psychology effect, and I've been trying it out. And it kind of works too, because then the candidates, you see them try harder. You see them, no, yeah, I can do that. That's no problem. I'll take that. And it's pretty funny. It puts more control back onto our side. Okay, great. So let's, I'll let you decide what you want to do with Dewi. I just put that out as my suggestion. You can either do that, or you can drop the candidate. I leave it up to you, okay? Make a decision. And then, yes, Ara, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Let it go on.
Okay, great. And then I'll observe your action and give you advice either or, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's move that now.
We also have another candidate that you'd like to invite in Jogja. His name is Ahmad Budi Susilo.
Yes, he's a content guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when exactly you'd like to invite him?
Anytime. In fact, wait. Gani's gone. Right. Gani
I
will
was
be.
talking to Gani yesterday about whether to invite him, when exactly, and then he said, well, if you invite him now, I'm not going to be around anyway because I went.
Doesn't make any sense now, yeah.
Lebaran, so most probably after Lebaran.
I think so. Let's invite that candidate and all the other candidates back after Lebaran when Gani's already there. He'll run through the exact same cycle that he did for Bono and Rizal, and we'll see what the results are, right? So that one can just be the same as before. For videographers, it has to be a little bit different because, anyway. All right, let's go ahead and move that item of business to old business now. And next item of business is Lebaran holiday schedule planning for new candidates. Okay, that answers the question. So all new candidates will essentially proceed with trials after Lebaran, and that should be okay, right? So okay, we can move those two items, Mrs. Secretary, to old business now. All right, next item. We need a hiring SLA for internships. How many interns are we getting? Okay, we have both answers. Perfect. All right, so we have an SLA for hiring, and we have 17. Wow. 17 people who put us down as the first choice. That's a lot. Okay, can we even deal with 17? I was thinking about doing this actually. I was thinking about making a band of Gypsy Bukit Vista squad. So the Gypsy squad just goes around and they do lead collection on every street in every neighborhood in Indonesia.
What exactly they do?
So they go down every street, right? Every day they go down this one street and they send up leads, okay? And then they just go and essentially like, did you ever watch that movie Prometheus?
No.
Okay, Gabby, do you remember when he took out those little balls and he threw the balls up in the air and they started mapping
That's
out
the
the entire?
gypsy.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking that the candidates can do. You just send them down every street and they map out every construction site, every for sale sign all across Indonesia, right? So they find every possible home that can actually be shared, and then at the end of their internship, we get like, oh, I don't know, 1,000 leads, and then we can get to our vision of getting 1,000 properties, right? And this will be everywhere. I think they'll love doing that because they get to travel all over Indonesia and continue doing this. And essentially, they just find leads, they follow up with owners, and they set up meetings. And then the market building team goes and they meet the owners and they onboard new properties. Yes, Gabby.
That thing also can be joined with the sketching guild that you've been with Diba too.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah.
of just sketching random stuff, they can start canvassing with their sketch,
Yeah.
mapping.
Yes, yes. The sector mapping can also be done at the same time as well. Okay. Anyways, let's go into that was just a random brain fart idea. Let's go into the SLAs. So we're using these SLAs. Ara, can you give us an update on the internship SLAs?
Okay, so last time I talked to Pak Nafi, Pak Nafi said that every student, to make us look more formal and everything, so Pak Nafi asked the lecturer to make the students apply to our website first.
Okay.
That was the last update from him. And then after that, we were going to process them after they apply on the website.
Okay. Are any students applying on the website yet, Ara?
What?
Are any students applying on the website yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I
And
think if they're not. I think if they're not signed up themselves until after Lebaran,
Mhm.
I think I'm still going to reach them via WhatsApp.
I think so. I think maybe for them this is too new and they need to be herded into the funnel, right? Rather than invited into the funnel. So applying on the website might be a little bit too unusual, but let's get them in. Out of 17, I realistically don't expect more than 4 or 6 people actually will qualify. I think a lot of people are just wannabes, but the ones that actually should be here should be, they should be able to ride a motorbike. In fact, they should be able to bring a motorbike to Bali, right? I don't want to be like renting motorbikes for like 3 months for people. So ideally, they should have a motorbike, they should be able to bring it to Bali, and they should be ready to do field work. So working in the field with guests, with owners, and other stuff like that. I think that could be a pretty good qualifier. But
I think for I don't think it's quite possible if we're looking for a student that can bring their motorbike to work.
really, yeah, that's not possible.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's.
How do we move them around?
That is my question. That is also why one of my my benchmark of accepting a host needs to have or can ride a motorbike.
Yeah. Okay, out of the 17, I'd say disqualify. I think we can only have maybe 1 or 2 chairs available for people who do not ride motorbikes. The other ones have to, because essentially maybe 1 or 2 people to help with online guest support and doing reviews and just admin stuff, but that won't be nearly as fun as the people who are out in the field, right? So I think yeah, just save 2 seats available for people without motorbikes, and everyone else should be able to ride, because we want them to host, we want them to do market building, and we want them to go out and discover new areas and vlog and do all that cool stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But do they to also have a motorbike or just can?
No, it's okay. If worst comes to worst, we can just rent a few vehicles or share a few vehicles for them, and that part we can take care of on this side. Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. So let's put that in as criteria. I would like to put that in here as, let's say, God. Okay. Okay. So criteria. Okay, this is a sub-discussion, I think, Mr. Secretary. So I'll engage in a sub-discussion with like what the minimal qualifications need to be in terms of eligibility for this program. Okay, let's go back up to, wow, this is a long meeting. Yeah? There's quite a lot of stuff on this agenda. So next order of, no new business is housing allowances. Right. Okay,
Yeah.
this is a good topic. Housing allowances, housing allowances, housing allowances. Okay, so I'm opening up the discussion for housing allowances. Anybody have any input?
Maybe not yet.
Okay, housing allowances are kind of tricky. Oh, Gabby, go ahead.
Is it the one that we need to find a place to put all these?
No, this is housing allowances from now on, from this point forward. I'm thinking about removing housing allowances from all future employment contracts because it is getting kind of expensive, and it's also a little bit like I notice it's unnecessary. We're already paying at market rates, so with the housing allowance, we're paying a little bit more than market rates. The reason to have housing allowance was primarily so that people would never, that take-home pay was take-home pay. But the problem with housing allowances right now is that everybody's asking for it, and I think it's also inefficient because people are traveling, and then we're paying for housing allowances, like in Dominic's case, for a room that's not even being used. So what I'm proposing is that Bukit Vista will probably get houses, and if you want, you can either live in the house and share the room and reduce your frictions that way, or you can move out and pay your own. And that would be my solution to getting that done. Ara, go ahead.
So actually, I did have a discussion about this with all the people in the base. That hey, actually it's quite expensive, isn't it? If you have costs one by one, what if we rent a house? Because I've calculated
I
that,
agree.
and it's actually cheaper.
I agree. Co-living, yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
Can you guys
so
do that?
have Bukit Vista dorm.
Yeah, I would agree. I think a dorm would be better, and then because the nature of a lot of people's work will be travel based, like Gani's work, Rizal's work, Shintia's work. I don't see what the point is on paying for their housing, and then they're going to be here for 3 weeks, and they're, like it's ludicrous, right? So then, in the case of let's say that particular person, they just move over the housing over here, and then their spot over wherever they left is available for the next person to use. And so that would be a much more efficient way to do the housing. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, with Gani's case, I can't give him housing if he's going to be based in Jogja now. Because yeah, he wanted to be. He wanted to be based in Jogja, but he wants to work like 3 weeks in Bali and then 1 week back in Jogja. So I can't pay for 3 weeks of housing in.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make any sense, right? So
Yeah.
okay, he wanted to be close to his parents too, anyway. So I think that covers that. Okay, so yes, I think that was a good solution, Ara. I would love to have just a Bukit Vista mess or another frat house. And yes, go ahead, Ara.
And then I already calculated yesterday the amount of the rooms, and then the money itself, like the budgeting for
Yeah.
the house itself. I think one thing for sure, it has, since we have more people. I don't know. We do in Jogja, we do have more people that need housing allowance now rather than in Bali, isn't it? Or
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous in a way because we went to Jogja so that we would have a lower human resource expense, but now everyone asking for this is, I really don't. In some cases, I think they're very edged. Like Bona, I don't get it. He doesn't show up on time anyways. He didn't show up on time here. So what am I paying a housing allowance if that's going to be an issue, right? I'm going to remove that. That doesn't make any sense. And then also in Rizal's case, I could understand he was from Solo, so he had to essentially move over. That's not like a really sustainable commute. But in a few other cases, I couldn't understand at all why there should be housing allowance. I think in some ways it was sort of gaming the system. It was like taking advantage of the generosity. But yeah, that's why we need to, I think, put it in a more clear way. I do believe that the idea of creating is that a motion, Ara, to create like a frat house in Jogja?
Yeah, I think it just needs to be bigger than in Bali, sir.
Yep, I agree. We should get like a 3 or 4 bedroom house and put like bunk beds in, and be able to house 6 or 8 people. And yeah, whatever that you guys do is up to you. We could have like Friends. It's like that TV show Friends. Okay, so let's go ahead and is that a motion or we need to? Is that something we want to do, or is that something we want to just talk about more, or what's the deal there?
Mm, since I kind of really align with your ideas. I don't know what Gabby. Gabby, do you have anything to say or ideas about it?
Actually, the same, Mara.
You think the same? Or do you
Yeah.
have a better solution maybe?
No, the solution is that we will find another frat house that can be used within each other squad. So every time the Jogja guy come into Bali, they don't have to find another place to stay. We already have the other frat house.
Yeah.
That's what I already proposed to Jing too. That
Yeah.
I'm gonna find a small house in the Denpasar area
Yeah.
for those kind of accommodations
Yeah.
for our team.
Exactly. So essentially the beginnings of new bases everywhere. Um, all right.
Remote basis.
The remote bases. Okay, so let's go ahead. Gabby, we're going up to Ubud today to take a look at that little cost that you brought up. Okay, so Ara, I'd like to nominate you. Can you please look for some options for a 3 or 4 bedroom house somewhere within? Yes, Ara, go ahead.
I think if you will nominate me to somebody that look for the house, please give me the benchmark that you
Sure.
would like to.
3 to 4 bedrooms, as cheap as possible, as close as possible. That's my benchmark.
Okay.
And not nasty. It can't be nasty, right? So it can't be like actually there's no nasty homes in Jogja that I've seen so far. All the ones I saw were better quality than in Bali. So 3 to 4 bedrooms, as low as possible and as close as possible to the existing base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay. All right. That's the benchmarks. Okay. So all right. Can you do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So at the next meeting, let's have 1 or 2 options available so that we can take a look at that and make a call. And then I also need to ask all the other people, would they be okay with moving? Because I don't want to get a frat house over and then nobody wants to move. That would be complete. Or no, I'm just going to make that a rule. You either live in the frat
Yeah.
house or you pay for your own housing.
You have to make.
Don't ask permission, sir.
Yeah, either you live here or you find your own and you pay your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you're happy with. Yeah. Okay. That's good too. Okay, so let's move that over to old business and let's have that follow up by Ara. So Ara will follow up with, let's say, 2 options that are as close as possible, as cheap as possible, 3 to 4 bedrooms from the base. All right, next question. Oh, this is a very fun question. Who are the most successful Bukit Vista hires? I'll nominate myself. Okay. All right. All right, you got to move it. Secretary, Mrs. Secretary, please move that to old business and also indicate the follow-up points while we discuss the new topics. Who are the most successful Bukit Vista hires? Let's see if we have any agreement on this. Okay, too sensitive,
What
yeah?
is that?
Nobody's gonna. All right, Mrs. Secretary, are you able to? You seem lost.
Yeah. Which.
Okay, Mrs. Secretary, here at the very top, should we provide housing allowance on new business?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so please move that to old business and also indicate that there will be follow-up from Ara, who's accepted a nomination from Jing about finding something 3 to 4 bedrooms, close as possible, cheap as possible, and so on and so forth. Okay, Gabby, let's go to you. Who are the 3 most successful people we've hired here?
The recent one,
Okay, yeah, let's go with recent ones.
D1, Chandra, and Gani, sir.
Diwan, Chandra, and Gani. Okay, all right, good. So there's 3 there.
Within each chapter too.
All right, within each chapter. Okay. Yes, they are in different chapters. All right, what's your call on this one?
Wait, myself?
Of course. Yeah. Who would disagree with that? Ara has no shame. Always the hero of her own story. So.
No, but I kind of, in Bukit Vista, I really like to go my limits.
Okay.
And I think it's pretty, such a good achievement for myself that I just an intern by September until December, and then I. But anyways, wait, let me think. I think Diva.
Okay. All right, Diva. Okay, Diva. Okay.
It has to be 3%.
Yeah, sure, 3. Okay, let's go with 3 first.
Wait. Diva. The progression. Wait. I think this. I don't know. Maybe just that. No.
Just Diva. Okay, Diva.
I don't maybe thinking
Diva and myself. Okay, all right. One more.
Diva. No, I mean some. This is about. Well, a success hire is has their own benchmark. Maybe
Sure.
they have his own benchmark, and then Gabby has his own benchmark. I have my own benchmark. My benchmark of a success hire is somebody that develop real quick
Okay.
from from their position first time until now. So somebody that move so quick is Diva, I think.
Okay, Diva. Okay, so we got Diva, D1, Ara, and Chandra Dewi, and Gani, yeah? Okay, so those are on the list. I would say Gani, Diva, and I think Rizal has a lot of potential right now. I think he's one of the higher potential people that I see. Okay, here's a question. Let's put that, Mr. Secretary, can you put all the names on that list? What do all of these people have in common? And that's the question. So I open up for discussion. Gabby, what do you think all these people have in common?
Good integrity, sir.
Ah, yeah, good integrity. Very good. Okay, all right, good integrity. All right, Ta'ara, what do you think all these people have in common?
Excitement.
That they're excited.
Yeah.
D1 never is very excited around me. You must see a different side about him than I do.
But he's excited about being a host.
Okay, got it. So,
What they're actually doing.
okay, so they're excited about their work. Okay, integrity, excited about their work. Okay, good. I'll add this. I think D1's capacity, I'm not too sure. But the other people, Ara, you can put your own name on there since you like to, whatever to as well. So I think all these people have capacity. And they have motivation. Yes, and integrity. And I think they understand quickly. I think they are correct according to that list that we asked for, right? First is integrity, then it's motivation, and then capacity, and then understanding, and then knowledge, and then experience. So they all seem to have the top 4 attributes of that. So, okay, why do we ask about this? Because if we know what are the people who fit really well at Bukit Vista, then we can think about that when we hire, right? We can just go like, is this person like any of these people? And if it's no, then no, right? Then it can't be right. But if it's yes, then it is a good template to go back to. So let's say you're hiring somebody in content. Diva's actually, I remember when we first hired her, it wasn't exactly easy to tell. She had worked in radio before. I don't think she had a portfolio even. She didn't have any photography or anything. But if I read back on our card, we did detect that she had capacity. She had a lot of curiosity about this element, about how to get better. And I think in Diva's particular case, she also has a lot of gratitude and humility, meaning that she never thinks I'm good enough, right? Like I've reached my thing. She's always asking, and always like even yesterday after the promotion review, I told her, you made it, congratulations. She came back to me and said, what's my weak channel of communication? I thought that was really, really, really interesting because you just got promoted, so it means like overall you're great. But she still focused on the points which were not perfect, and she asked for advice. Actually, I thought, see, that's the difference between like a Val and like a Diva, right? So if you get like a person who's not thinking about how to improve their game, that means they're not playing the sport. They're essentially just kind of like, they're not an athlete. They're just a conscript who's forced to run around on a track. But if they're an athlete, they're going to come to you with the question of like, how do I make my game better? And that's the kind of people we want to hire. We want to hire athletes, people who are really interested in that work. So, okay, great. Let's go down and take a look. And gets to the next point, which is why don't we profile the people who are the most successful, and we profile all the people who didn't work out, and what was in common with all the people who succeeded, what was in common with all the people who didn't succeed, and what was different. Okay, then this becomes the criteria for how we hire people, right? We look for people with the attributes that all the successful hires have, and we red flag all the attributes that the unsuccessful hires have. Opening that up for discussion.
I think to actually, it is quite hard for myself to detect which one is the successful hires, which one is not. Just like maybe isn't it we need to do in the other way around first, like knowing what are the benchmark to tell somebody to success hires, or what are the benchmark for detect somebody that is not a success hire.
Okay, great. Is there any more discussion?
I think it's tricky, sir.
Okay.
But well, we know some of our previous team members. Our members are great. They have all the integrity, motivation, and capacity. But during time, they sometimes to drop out. They're signing off. Like we don't really know.
Okay.
What's the
That's a good question. Let's then analyze a little bit more. So there is like these tests. They're called Briggs-Myers tests. They essentially look at psychological profiles for people, and so you just answer the questions. I believe, Gabby, you remember Jan, I think, administered one of these tests before, right?
Yep.
So I would be very curious to administer that test again and see. Let's just fill it out for ourselves first, right? Fill it out for yourselves, and then I think we need to get a committee together to try to fill it out for people who weren't here, and essentially didn't pass, right? So then we try to figure out, was there anything in common from people who didn't fit here with people who did fit here? I think one of the most clear things is right now self-motivation. I noticed that I thought back on, let's say, a few cases, right? And this is where I'm concerned with, let's say, Val and Bona's case. People who don't have self-motivation, who are relying on external motivation to push them forward, I've noticed that they generally didn't last like forever. Like we could keep on feeding them motivation, but at some point it didn't ever catch on internally and they couldn't push themselves forward. Like let's say for example, I'll compare Jan to Nung Lee, right? Nung Lee's right here. Nung Lee's right behind. I think in Jan's case, there was a lot of coaching I had to give to Jan, right? It was almost daily coaching, like this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. And the minute I stepped away from that coaching, I could see Jan couldn't carry on any further. He was like kind of lost, confused, and whatnot. But let's say in Lee's case, right? There's much more self-motivation. It's like working towards it, and then they show you kind of like, it's kind of like they're an architect. They go like, is this design what you were asking for? And I go, yes, that's it. Or I go, no, that's not. Please go back and revise that and go again. Whereas in Jan's case, it was mostly just come back and I don't know how to do this, right? And then come back and I don't know how to do this. And it was that kind of thing. I think that might be one of the motivation or interest to work things, that they have to see their work as a sport rather than as work. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah. Anyhow, this is just an idea. I got this idea actually from my HR friend in Singapore. He gets paid millions of dollars to do this. So what he says is actually really good. You just profile all the people who work out really well. You profile all the people who didn't work really well. And you try to see if there's anything in common or anything different. Maybe all the people who worked out really well, they all were from out of Bali, right? Or something. Or they all grew up in poor families. Or they, whatever it might be. But that could be the defining attribute, whatever you find, between the people who are, let's say, in the correct hire group and the people who are in the no hire group. So that we don't make so many of these mistakes over and over again in the hiring process too as well. I know it's kind of hard, I know it's very abstract too, but I think we need to get a little bit more deliberate about understanding what is it that makes, let's say, a successful BD hire versus a less successful BD hire. Okay. All right. Anyhow, we're overtime by like quite a bit now. The rest of these, I think I'll follow up. No, this is one last part, so we'll cut that off and we'll follow up afterwards at the next meeting. When should we have the next meeting, ladies and gentlemen?
Same time, sir?
Okay, June 8th, next Saturday.
Yep.
All right, are you back on June 8th?
Yeah, I just take 2 days off for.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh, sir, I don't know. Is it like, so last month, last month on May, I decided to make a hiring SLA for each chapter, right?
Yeah.
And then we finished that. And then I was thinking, I think it's quite necessary to make an not SLA, more on like regulation of a day off.
Oh, on time off, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's good. Bring that up as new business. Yeah, that's a good discussion topic to have. That's a big discussion topic. Okay, the current policy is take as many days as you need, and you get your base salary. But I think in the future it should be a little bit more. Netflix essentially has this policy. They just go, take whatever days you want, just work it out with your team. By you shipping in on this one?
This is HR, right?
Yeah.
So I have a question actually.
Yep. Bayou's, joining the guild. Go ahead.
Okay. So how should we prioritize meetings and sync up? Should it be squad first, or guild first, or chapter first, or company first? That's
Company first, then chapter, then squad.
okay. That's we need to agree on that because Gabby is skipping the chapter meeting because of this guild meeting.
Oh, right. Okay, all right. Okay, so what's bigger than... I think it should go company, chapter, then squad. Right? Company, chapter, then squad.
Company, squad, chapter, guild.
Company, squad, chapter,
Chapter
guild.
is the operational thing, right?
Ah,
And
right.
squad is your team basically. Chapter is your
Okay, so companies... Well, it's a nested priority of missions, right? The company mission is more important than the squad mission. So the company should come first, and then the squad mission... Is the squad mission more important than the chapter mission?
I think so.
Okay, the squad mission is more important than chapter mission, so then squad, and then the chapter mission is below that, and the guild meeting is last, because the guild is an interest group, right? Okay. Yep, so, okay. Gabby, you better go.
No, it's
I
already.
thought you already finished.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right, so it's too late then, yeah?
So
All right.
I think I can suggest this to make an HR SLA so that everyone can follow what should do, how you prioritize things, how you.
Oh, right. Oh, this is company level, right?
Yep.
Okay, all right, let's see. That's an all hands thing then. That's inter-chapter SLA. Inter-chapter is HR, I guess, right?
That should be HR.
HR. I don't know. HR usually relates to like people's pay, their training, their stuff. What do you guys think? Actually, let's open up this for discussion. Should which meeting you attend or how you prioritize meetings be an HR issue, or should it be? Yeah, if it's not HR, what else could it be, right? Okay, I'll adopt that. Sure, I'll adopt that. Okay, we'll take that on as an HR issue.
Sorry, Mas.
Yep. Do you know that there's a squad sync up today?
Yes, I know. That's why I told you that I only haven't updated my action point on the contact. But the rest is already updated on the Trello. That's why I decided to skip it. Because I don't have any updates yet.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Well,
okay.
because I think squad is more important because you need to inform your other team member. Because everything is now postponed for another day because you're not explaining.
Okay,
Okay.
Mas, noted.
Okay. Yes, Gabby, I would agree in this case. I think it's a higher priority to let your squad know. Squad 2, right? Okay. Yeah. In this particular case. Okay. Okay.
So then I have
Stepping on toes. Yeah. Oh. Okay.
I have follow-up questions on that.
Yeah.
But for me myself that is working in 2 squads, it's always been asking like, hey, come to the Singapore squad 3 come to the Singapore squad 4. So that's gonna be more complicated on the questions on which squad should we prioritize.
I think we should just have a tool for. Okay, wait. Let me stop the recording.